Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Friday. Welcome to another drawing lesson. This is 2-point perspective, and today we're going to focus in on a tree in the foreground of our piece. It's one of the final things that we'll need to do before submitting our piece by the end of the day today. Remember, the deadline is 3 o'clock. So here's a different drawing that I dug up, and it's incomplete, it's not done, but it shows a nice tree in the foreground, and the foreground is anything here up front, which would be opposite to the background, which would be the hills and anything which is very, very far away in the distance. The tree would be, the house would be in the middle ground. Okay, so foreground, middle ground, background. All right, now let me flip on over to the piece that I've been working on all week. And as you can see, I've got a blank area here. And I had encouraged you a few video lessons ago to possibly avoid coloring this front area just yet, because we knew we were going to be putting in some type of a tree structure there, and we didn't want to finalize too many of these lines here so that in the event that we have to erase, we're able to do so. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've got a little more of a close-up going on here today, and I hope that will benefit you regarding your drawing of the tree. Okay, so I'm going to start the tree somewhere in this pocket of space between the two interlocking sidewalks, and I'm kind of holding my pencil sideways like a piece of chalk. I've got my pink eraser in the event of any mistakes, and I'm sure I'll be using it. And here's a blending stump also to help me smooth out some lines. So I'm starting my tree with a flared out bottom, and it reminds me a bit of a volcanic funnel at the top of a volcano, how the ground on the sides is wider and then it begins to narrow as the two sides come together. Okay, and I'm drawing the two sides of the tree coming together, and then at some point what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start literally branching off of that trunk with some branches to each side. When I pull the branches away from the trunk, sometimes I give this letter C shape, which kind of reminds me of a growth ring, and out of that growth ring emerges the new area of the tree. And then what I do is I just use my imagination to start developing other little areas of growth. The teeny tiny branches also emerging from the tree. And there's no right or wrong for how many branches you're going to put in on your tree. What I like to stress is just remember that the further the branch reaches from the original limb, make it thinner So these branches at the very end, the little teeny tiny ones, make them and keep them very small. The branches that are emerging from the trunk, you can keep them thicker. Don't worry if you extend some tree branches onto the front of your building. In this case, I am touching some of my garage with those branches. That's okay, because we can eliminate and erase any part of that garage that is covered up by the tree. For example, you can see what I'm doing here at the bottom. I'm eliminating some of that sidewalk, and I'm going to eliminate just a little bit of the side of the garage here. I can put back any line that I've removed. Okay, so let me redraw some of the tree here. And have some fun with it. Don't think too much about where you want these tree branches to go. Just let your pencil move. It'll guide you. Follow your instincts, and you'll have a nice tree structure before you know it. You can go on the internet, go on YouTube and watch tree drawing videos if you like. You don't have to draw the type of tree I'm drawing. Sometimes kids will put in pine trees, fruit trees, whatever type of tree you want to put there is fine by me. Okay? Alright. So, normally I'd probably do a lot more, but I don't want you to be watching this video all day. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back into the bark of the tree, and I'm going to put some roots going into the ground. I'm putting these little triangular shapes to represent individual roots as they grab hold of the earth. And then lots of times I'll carve out some bark-like lines on the tree. And oftentimes I'll pick the side of the tree that I think is farthest away from my light source, and I will shadow it and shade it. See, up top here, my light source is there in the center, and so I'm thinking this side of the tree will receive the least amount of light. So that's the side of my tree that I am going to darken in. And lots of times I'll imagine the under portion of the tree limbs, also not receiving a lot of sunlight. And so I'll pick the underside of a tree branch and make it also a little darker. So on this side here, since these branches are sort of bathing in the sunlight, I would say the under portion of them would be a little darker. I posted a requirement sheet to Google Classroom this morning also, and it highlights what you should put into this assignment in terms of requirements so that you can get a real nice score. And please, when you post the assignment, post it here to Google Classroom. Don't email me an attachment, because then I gotta sort of consolidate the grades and look all over the place to find your assignment. It's much simpler for me when you click on the assignment in Google Classroom, click on the plus, and then upload your image right then and there. I'd love to keep going on this tree, but I'm going to stop because I don't want this video to be too overwhelmingly long. Okay, one of the last things I'm going to point out to you is that it always looks nice when we put a little shadow of the tree on the ground fading away from the light source. So again, my light source is up top here, and that means my shadow would be fading away to the right of my page. You can take your blending stump or your finger and work on that shadowy image of the tree, and it's a nice little addition to your piece. Maybe there's a little branch sneaking a shadow onto the ground as well. And sometimes I'll take my pencil and I'll intensify the shadow with a little more pressure, a little closer to the tree itself. And then, as I've indicated in the past, that shadow will dissipate the farther it gets away from the object, in this case, the tree. Okay, boys and girls? And you can, of course, go back and add color to the tree. You might want to grab up some browns, some earthy tones, and you can carve out some colors into the tree bark itself. And if you've looked outside, many of the trees at this stage of the season are getting some buds, and you could very easily add some tree buds or full foliage leaves by taking your colored pencils or crayons and smearing in and smudging in leaves. That's your decision. These are all things that you're going to take a look at today and decide upon doing. So remember, today's deadline is 3 o'clock. And if you notice, another one of the requirements is to put something in this empty space. I'm going to leave that up to you, but there are many suggestions on the page that I had posted. Swimming pools, fire pits, trampolines, swing sets, sports equipment, hockey nets, soccer goals, animals. The list is endless and limitless. I really want you to fill up your page, and I hope you had a fun time this week exploring two-point perspective with your old art teacher, Mr. K. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we will be talking soon. We will make some more art beginning on Monday. Happy drawing, and have a great weekend, boys and girls. Thanks so much for being good kiddos. Take care now. Bye-bye.